Our next guest this evening is certainly a well-travelled man.
Indeed, Dr. Stef Keris is an expert author on Greek Islamic history, a broadcaster, and of course, a linguist.
It's not a phrase you hear very often, is it?
No, you don't.
Greek Islamic history.
That's a heck of a crossover,
That is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, look, here to tell us all about his latest work, having returned recently from Italy, is Dr. Stef. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Jazakallah. Thank you for having me, first of all.
You're very welcome. Thank you for joining us. We've got 3 books that you've brought in here, and we were just discussing off air 3 countries that you do not associate with an Islamic history. So we've got Austria, Greece, and Hungary.
That's correct, yes.
Really?
Yes, well, look, Hungary, some people would know that Hungary was around 150 years part of the Ottoman Empire. But in general, what I've realized in the last couple of years, Muslims are not busy with the Ottoman history.
Yeah.
They would know something about Spain nowadays, which again is something new. I mean, in my time, when I became Muslim, which was 22 years ago, we didn't know anything about Spain. It was something that I found out through my studies. But nowadays, everybody knows a bit about Al-Andalus. And that's about it. As soon as you move over to Italy, it's a little bit less known. Although it's also part of the period of Al-Andalus. Because Al-Andalus, we should not see it as a geographic region only. We should consider it as a period of time.
Right.
And within this period of Al-Andalus, Italy, Sicily especially, falls into. So that's why I was there 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now, Doctor, I've got to ask you, okay, we've got 3 extraordinary books right here of the kind of history that a lot of people might not think to immediately go to. What was the most incredible thing that you came across in your findings, one that really took you back?
That the Ottomans were not that bloodthirsty and terrible and terrorizing as we learned. Because as a Greek, I grew up in Germany, but I still went to a Greek school. And they taught us all these terrible facts about the Turks, the Ottomans, and that's why I saw that there was a lie in it. So that pushed me towards Islam, by the way, also.
Yeah,
yes.
it's funny you say that because I had a very close friend, in fact, several very close friends growing up who were Greek Cypriot. And as a result of just being close to them, and I didn't grow up practicing Islam either, but just being close to them, I naturally had a dislike for Turks. I thought that they committed all these atrocities and everything, just because my friends were Greek. And actually, when I started to practice Islam and I found out more about the Ottomans and visiting Topkapi Museum, looking at the incredible history over there, you find that actually it wasn't black and white like that at all, you know?
No, absolutely not. Exactly. That's exactly the point. It was not black and white.
Yeah.
And that's how people put it nowadays. They perceive it also that way. And the Muslims nowadays, that's even worse. You have Arabs especially who really have a hatred towards the Turks.
Yeah.
And the Turks, again, well, the same thing. I mean, just show back, vice versa, basically. Just show the hatred back. It's a cancer in our society, in our Muslim community.
You mentioned you became Muslim 22 years ago.
Around,
so what was your background? Presumably Greek?
Yes, Greek author. Well, I'm still Greek.
Yeah, of course. You are indeed, of course, yeah.
But I was a Christian Orthodox Greek.
Yeah.
But a traditional Christian Orthodox Greek.
So lots of incense.
Yeah, lots.
Incense. Is that a Greek thing?
That's a Greek thing. Church is full of incense.
In church, that's right. That's right.
Wow.
Well, I mean, not that I was a really hard churchgoer, but we would go once in a while to church. My parents were not really very practicing religious people. But what Greeks in general are, they're not practicing religious Christians. They are rather traditional Christians, okay? Yeah. And for them, being Greek means being Orthodox. Even if you don't believe in it, it's a very cultural thing.
Yes, you kind of inherit all these cultural these norms and what have you.
Absolutely.
What was it like for your family and everybody around you when you kind of reverted to Islam? How did they take to it initially?
Do we have to discuss it live now?
We don't if you don't want to, but I kind of want to now that you said that.
It's difficult.
Until the day of today, they haven't really accepted it. It is something that we don't discuss at home. I have given through the message, which was my duty, but furthermore, really we don't discuss it. When we make our salah, when I'm there with my family, we make our salah in a room upstairs, we're staying upstairs, and that's it. We go upstairs. They know what we're doing, we don't discuss. We know we're gone, suddenly we're back again, and that's it.
I've been through all of that. I know exactly where you're coming from. But look, coming back to your books, it is a very interesting part of history, and a part of history you said that not many people know about. I remember reading somewhere that I think when Islam reached the gates of Vienna, as the Ottomans spread Islam throughout Europe, that was what really catalyzed the Europeans to say, hold on, we've got to do something now, and really start the kind of fight back against Islam, wasn't it?
That's true. The first siege of Vienna in 1529, actually the 16th century already, that's something that really was a catalyst, as you said, for the German speakers, but also for the rest of the Europeans. I mean, Eastern and Central Europeans who really thought, like, what is happening here? The Turks are coming. the Muslims, which was equal. I mean, Turk is a
Yeah.
Muslim, Muslim is a
Yeah.
Turk. So they're coming. So we start shivering. So the Austrians were the ones to keep them out. And by the way, something that people don't know that has remained from that time, the church bells started ringing throughout Europe that time with the sieges. So until the day of today, you will hear in several European countries, without knowledge of why, suddenly church bells ring on a specific date and time.
Sure.
And this has remained, but people do not
Right.
really know. Even the people who do
Yeah,
it actually
yeah,
don't
yeah.
really know why they're doing it. But that is something that has remained in Europe. The fear is there.
Yeah.
And the Turk, as the arch enemy, has actually still remained. And nowadays, with the economic crisis in Europe and the
Yeah,
economic
absolutely.
upcoming of Turkey,
Yeah.
this is even more so.
And the fear
actually.
of you often hear the fear of Turkey joining the European Union
Absolutely.
and what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah,
incredible some of this
absolutely,
rhetoric has lasted through
Yeah.
you know,
Oh,
to
yes.
contemporary
Absolutely, yeah.
times.
Well, I mean, don't forget the Crusaders. I mean, in the 11th century, we had the Crusades.
Yeah.
So we're talking now about the 16th and 17th century.
Yeah.
So there's
Deeply
nothing.
ingrained.
No,
yeah,
I suppose
deeply
not.
Ingrained.
I mean, I was reading something recently about the Battle of Gallipoli. I don't know if you touch upon this in the books and everything.
Not really.
Not
no,
really.
it's later.
It is more recent history, I
Yes.
suppose, but it's incredible how that representation of some of the Islamic community. I mean, there was a film recently with Russell Crowe. I forget the name of the film, but it was kind of around the Battle of Gallipoli, and I mean, it was a really. You expect modern cinema to have a little bit more of a
More sophisticated.
yeah, sophisticated, a balanced approach to certain issues. But a lot of these old stereotypes were coming through in this. And
Well, it's just, look, I mean, what you're saying, you're right. It's just 40 or 50 years ago that Hollywood was showing Arab Muslims in a harem with 400 women speaking a language which was not understandable. It was not Arabic, by the way, but they were fooling people 40 years ago, just. That is
Yeah.
not really a long time ago.
Yeah.
So it's not weird. Yeah.
You've just returned from Italy. We know that from your Twitter. What is it when you go to, whether it's Hungary, Italy, these southern European countries, that you see as the most obvious influence of Islam that's still there today that people wouldn't necessarily attribute to their Muslim history?
Architecture.
The
First of all, the architecture. You would see a lot of buildings that remind you of, is it now mosque? What is this
You're
building,
right,
you know?
yeah, yeah.
Is it a palace? What is it exactly? So this is something that you see in Sicily very often. Sicily is an island which is clearly either Greek, ancient Greek, or Islamic influence. There is no Italian or Roman influence whatsoever. I mean, it's either ancient Greek, a lot of temples, a lot of
Yeah.
ancient Greek history, or Islamic history. And this is amazing. For me, it was double. I mean, it was double trouble. When I was there, it was amazing, absolutely great.
So very quickly, Doctor, next time I go to Italy, because I do like to head over there, and I love the cuisine, the art and everything.
Yes, yes.
What should I look out for?
Well, the cuisine, you said.
Yeah. No, I mean, in terms of Islamic influence, things I might not have spotted before.
The main architecture, really, the major buildings have Islamic history. Even if you go to the palaces, to the main palaces, they would have some kind of Islamic influence. All of them.
Wow.
All of them. There is really no exception.
That's
That's fascinating. Well, thank you so
But
much.
inshallah, my book will come out, so inshallah.
I'm going to read all of them, I promise you. Thank you so much for joining us.